I don't know. Right now it's... Ooh, I don't know. It's actually dying right now. Today is the day. I have booked a time for the 1977 Jaguar XJ12 to get an inspection or an MOT, whatever you want to call it, a yearly inspection, or for classic cars here, it's every 2 years. So fingers crossed it will pass, but I have to fix a couple things. Before that, I have a new gator for the tie rod end, and we're going to replace some lights and a couple things. But I've also bought here a new battery, which actually fits inside the battery box these things have. It's a special battery cooler, so we're going to fit the new battery. Hopefully it fires up better now. So we'll go outside, fit the battery, drive it in here, and start fixing those things. Hopefully it will pass later this afternoon. All right, let's see if we can get this thing in here one-handed. I am going to fit the whole cooler and thing inside later, but we're just going to get the car into the workshop. See, positive, and we have a wrench somewhere. Yeah, we'll fix that better later. We're just gonna drive it into the workshop now, because at the moment I'm letting all the heat out. There we go. Let's close it like that, and let's see if this thing fires up. Never heard the fuel pump run that quickly, so let's see. There we go. It's been sitting out here for a couple days. It's been very, very cold, about -10 at night, but I'll just drive into the workshop now, and then we can have a look at fitting the battery correctly and also the tie rod. Let's see if it's charging. And we're getting 13.9. Pretty good. Let's raise the RPM. Yeah, 13.9. It's charging correctly, so that's all good. Right when I turned it off, I noticed a little bit of smoke coming from here. So I'm wondering if... I think we have a slight water leak from right there. I'm going to continue with other things and we'll monitor that and order new parts, but maybe it's just when it's sort of half cold and then it's okay. I don't have very far at all to the MOT station, and do want to try and get this thing booked in, and then, you know, we'll fix some things afterwards. Got the car up on jack stands. I noticed a funny thing. The horn's hanging down. So somehow that's fallen off, but we're gonna have to find a nut for that, put that back on, and of course check that's work. It's not the original horns. They're supposed to be sort of under the engine, but previous owners put them there, and I don't really care that much. Don't really use the horn very much. Got a new one of these. That is a gator for the tie rod end. And got my kid with me, got the dog helping out, and here we have the missing gator. So we're going to loosen that up. I just checked. It's, let me see. It is 3/4. So we'll undo that, knock that down, and try and get this on, put it back together, and then we'll grease up all the fittings under here as well. This is what I mean by the front end. I do have new bushings for it, but there's never been any play in it before. I do want to replace all of that, and I'll probably do that this year. But right now I just want to see if we can get this thing on the road, at least road legal. Let's see if this wants to come on. Oh yeah, not too bad. I had this off maybe 5 or so years ago, replaced the gaiters on the steering rack, and I also replaced the pinion seal on it. However, I think the rack may be leaking in another place now, but I don't know. I'm going to rebuild the rack on the XJS, and I might rebuild this one a little bit later. Or I've thought about trying, I've heard good things about the Lucas stop leak one, and I've sort of thought about using that because it is such a pain to remove the rack on these cars. And this one already has new bushings and everything, so you know, on the XJS I have a reason to remove it. But let's try and give this a whack with a hammer here, see if it falls down. Alright, I had to be quite persuasive with a little bit of heat around here, so everything's really hot right now. But I just heated up the area around here and then gave it a knock from the side, and it dropped down rather nicely. But that's very, very hot at the moment. We're going to see if we can maybe still try and get it out. And you may be wondering why I'm not replacing the tie rod end right now. That is because, like I said, I do want to redo the front suspension. I have upper lower ball joints. I have all the bushings. I think I want to get springs as well because they're original. And when I do that, I'll put on new tie rod ends as well. But there we go. I think I'm just going to let that cool down for a bit. Then we'll clean up the area, and I think we'll just put actually a little bit extra grease around there, and then we'll fit that desk camp. That little helper here keeps stealing my tools. I just cleaned up some of the old grease here and put some in there. Not sure if that's correct or not, but there's no play or anything in it. It moves pretty nicely. I just put this on here and moved it back and forth. You may be wondering why this fell off. I haven't actually driven with it off, except the last video we just took a little bit of a test drive. I wanted to see if my 16-inch Latus wheels fit on this car, and the answer is they do. They look awesome on it, but they rub on the tie rod ends. So I only drove about a meter forward, and I know there's a lot of screeching, and one of these came off. So that is why. Now let's try it. Fit this thing. Oh, come on. Come on. Why don't you want to go on? Oh, there we go. Now I just gotta get it all the way around that edge as well. Once again, I've got that tool thief stealing my stuff. I was a little bit fiddly to get on, but used a flat screwdriver around it. Finally got that on, all bolted back up, and I've greased the upper and lower ball joints and the wheel bearings on both sides. So far things are going well. We're gonna put the wheels back on, put it back on the ground, and then we can focus on a couple other things, like getting the battery actually bolted down. Actually, before I bring it down, I'm just gonna go underneath and make sure it doesn't look all oily from the transmission, which I said doesn't really leak normally, but it leaks when this thing sits and the torque converter drains. So we're just going to dry that up, make it look nice, and yeah, bring it down on the ground. And I thought you might want to see what it looks like underneath here. I haven't set up any lights or anything, but this car looks very good underneath. And I just wiped off the side. So basically what happens is the pan just gets overfilled when it sits for more than 6 months or something like that. So I'm going to be better at just driving this thing now, and that won't be an issue. And the rest of it looks really, really good as well. If you're wondering about the oil, if you didn't see the video, not the previous one, but the previous one on this car from, what did we say? The fall of 2020, I replaced the oil and the filter then, and the car has, not been driven at all since then. So we can drive it through the summer and replace it after then. But I'm gonna get the car down on the ground, and then we can continue with a few other small things. as you can see, it's all back together. I'm just letting it warm up for a bit to check a couple things. I've also been a little bit busy behind the scenes, and I haven't filmed just because I've been under time constraints. When I turned on the headlights, I had no main beams. Turned out to be a break in the cable, so I've replaced some wiring up front. So we got everything working as it should. We fixed everything down there. The other big issue was I have several of these battery cooler boxes, and I have several sets of those little screws there. However, I don't really know where those little screws are. I know they're in a box somewhere, and I've looked everywhere, and I just ran out of time. And yeah, the old battery holder I had here doesn't fit a tall battery like this one that fits in that battery box. So I made this. This is a belt, an old belt I threw out, a supercharger belt for a Range Rover, but that seems to work pretty well. And these are the dome nuts from the cam covers on an XK engine. So you gotta be a little bit creative sometimes, but we're just letting it warm up here a bit. I've checked the power steering level, topped that up a little bit. Otherwise I fixed the horn, so that's working now. And I've also fixed the windshield washer. I think it's going to put some fluid in that, or the pump. The hose here had come off, so we're going to fill that with some fluid. And pretty ready to go. About half an hour or so, we're going to go. But just look at that oil pressure. Absolutely fantastic oil pressure in this engine. Ran it up a temperature and just turned it off. You hear the tickings of a hot V12. The exhaust is ticking. Seems to be working as it should, everything. I turned it off now just to button up some last things. I'm going to go inside, wash up, and then we'll head on over to the MOT station. The little leak we had over there seems to have stopped. Maybe it's the same as that Daimler 66 I fixed a while ago, that it stops once it gets warm and it leaks a little bit when it's cold. So I can live with that today just for driving there. And we'll see, maybe it's actually resealed itself. But I've already ordered the parts, new gaskets for all of that, because I realized I've actually never replaced those. All the coolant hoses are new, but those haven't been replaced, and it's a pretty quick job, so we'll do that later. But got the hubcaps back on, everything. I'm gonna roll the car outside, and then we should head on over to get it inspected. On my way to the inspection place. It's about 10 kilometers away, so it's not that far, but it's all small roads there, so that's supposed to take about 20 minutes. I'm supposed to be there about 5 minutes or so before my time, so that should be really good. I checked my paperwork, and the last time this thing passed an inspection, remember it's every 2 years for this car, was 2017, and then I stopped driving it in 2019. And since 2017, that inspection there, so I've driven about 5,000 kilometers, so maybe about 2,500 kilometers a year. Something like that is what I've usually driven this thing, I think. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But we'll see. First time we're going out on a little bit of a faster road, and it's weird not having a tack, but seems to be accelerating okay. That will be one of the first things I want to have a look at, is why there's an issue with the tack. And then there are a couple other small things. Like I said, there was a slight hesitation when you just pull away, and I don't know, right now it's, I don't know, it's actually dying right now. Let's switch tanks and see if that works better. It's spluttering and backfiring. All right, we gotta pull over here. Let's see what is going on. I don't know, it's not very happy. Feels like it's almost dying. I'm gonna try and see if I can get it to even turn around here to go back. Nope. All right, that did not go very well. All right, let's see if we can get it going again. All right, it roared into life there. I think we're gonna try and turn around as quickly as we can and go back. I'm sort of thinking of maybe two things. There's either something going on with my fuel pump, which is pretty much new, or because I think the tack issue is a ballast resistor with my ignition. So I'm wondering if it's ignition related. But it is, oh, it's not a happy camper. It is misfiring and stuttering. I just want to make it off this road onto the side here. Fortunately, there's one hill there to get back home, but I'm wondering if it's actually the fuel switches in the back, because I'm getting a lot of fuel on the left side and hardly anything on the right. So I think I'm actually running out of fuel. That's embarrassing. I think we have a supply issue. I checked that return to both sides, but I think we're not getting a return from one of the sides. Yeah, because I have close to half a tank on the left side, and I've driven on the right where it's now down to 0 when it was. Oh, come on, sweetie. Just make it to the side here. All right. Let's go back and have a look. It's misfiring and doing things. The thing is, I'm not even sure if I can make it up this hill. The pump is running. It's a good thing I didn't bolt any of this down. So this is the supply, and it is showing the right tank completely empty. So I'm on the left tank, which means it should be returning here. Get my phone, use that as a flashlight. Okay, it's not returning to that side. Oh no, I have it set to the right side. Never mind. And it's showing pretty much an empty tank on the right side. Yeah, it's barely returning anything there. So I just want to see what happens if I can switch it over to the left. Yeah, we're having a weird issue here. And we got air in that pump. Yeah, this is not good. Come on, sweetie. All right. I can hear fuel gushing back to that one. So we're gonna try and just make it home now. We don't have much power, but I think if I'm very gentle with the throttle. This is the worst part. This is the hill, and the rest we're sort of up in the plateau to my house. And also when we get a little bit further, we can get to a place where we can sort of pull over as well. Oh, come on, sweetie. But I could hear from the pump there was definitely sort of a fuel supply issue. Very, very weird. Okay, and right there, it sort of picked up a little bit. But yeah, it is, it's backfiring for the intake a little bit on the B-bank sometimes. But we just gotta get past this. Okay, I forgot about this hill. Once we're up this hill and around this corner, we're pretty good. I'm just using the smallest amount of throttle as I can. Just trying to keep it going. But something is really going on. But now we know it is fuel related. So fuel pump or fuel valve or something is stuck somewhere. Alright, it's going a little bit worse again. We're very, very close to my house now. We are one neighbor away. So not very far, but yeah, not a happy camper, this one. It's very weird. I'm almost wondering if it's, I mean, we're gonna have to check. This will be, next video, trying to investigate this thing, but I mean, it almost feels like bad fuel. But that saying with 90% of all carburetor issues are ignition, and same with fuel injection. But I really think this is fuel. Just the way it wasn't a steady stream of fuel being returned. That's a steady stream, usually like a garden hose at idle, and it was just spluttering back. So either the fuel pump's gone bad. It's a high quality Bosch unit, maybe 6 years old, something like that. The old Lucas one started leaking, so I don't know about that. And yeah, it has been sitting, but I have definitely started up, every 2 months or so, just to make sure everything runs up, and that's never been an issue. And it ran no problem there for 10-15 minutes in the workshop. It ran when I drove it a couple days ago, so yeah. But we're still at normal charge. Everything else is normal except this. Now we got a little bit backfiring again, but this is the last little incline. Now it's downhill all the way to the farm. Tried to use some speed from going downhill there, but we're blazing along at 20 kilometers an hour. That's one of our cats over there. Yeah, definitely not going the way I wanted it to. I can see my house now, and it's running really bad right now. But let's pull up over here and turn off this misery. But yeah, we made it. That did not really go that well, but things happen sometime. That's the thing here on the channel. I'll show everything, and there you can see it live when it went from being great to have a classic car for something weird to happen. But I think this is going to be a pretty easy issue. It's going to be something with that valve. Maybe it's stuck halfway or something is definitely blocking things. But yeah, you'll see next video what went on. Anyways, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share it with a friend. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. And if you want to help the channel out and get some cool merchandise like this V12 firing order t-shirt, there's a link to my store down below with a lot of cool things. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.